Welcome, everyone. Good morning and boa tarde. My name is Agata Del Borgo. On behalf of the Rhode Island Association of Realtors Global Council, our CEO, Philip Tedesco, and leadership, I am delighted to welcome the panelists to our first Going Global webinar. Before we start the program, I have a couple of housekeeping announcements. This webinar is being recorded and will be posted online. The Q&A and chat features are disabled. However, you'll be able to copy a link from the chat, which includes the panelist contacts and additional useful resources. We encourage attendees to reach out to the speakers if you have any questions about their areas of expertise. The purpose of the RI Global Business Council is to further enhance opportunities for realtors to conduct business globally, and to participate successfully in real estate transactions with international clients and customers by providing education, information, and networking resources. Okay, well, welcome. Instead of reading your impressive bios, I ask that you each please tell me about yourselves, and I'll start with me. My name is Agata Del Borgo, originally from the Azores, a longtime resident of Rhode Island, and hence the slight accent. I am the current Global Council Chair, volunteer member, and realtor, and really excited to have you folks here so we can share information to both Rhode Island and Portuguese members, how we can collaborate. Shall we start with Stephanie Aker, who is a NAR connection? Stephanie, tell us about you and your work, and welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you, Agata. And also, you forgot to mention that you are the vice chair of the NAR Global Business Council Forum. So very involved in global.
Thank you.
So my name is Stephanie Aker. I am I'm the manager of Global Business Council Engagement and Development. And so I work with our global business councils at the associations. I also manage our ambassador association program. And I also help to work with our global coordinators and ambassadors who work with our 77 countries and over 105 bilateral partners. So extremely exciting. Joined NAR about a year ago. It'll actually be a year in April. So still learning lots and getting to know everyone. Actually had the opportunity to meet many of our panelists today when I was visiting one of the councils in New York last fall. So really excited about this group. But my background, new to the association world as of April when I joined NAR, but not new to real estate or global operations. Prior to NAR, I was with global brokerage and managing agent operations in 23 countries. Before that, I worked in global mobility and relocation and referral services globally. I also held a license and was an active practitioner. So lots of global experience and referral experience. So this is something that I'm extremely passionate about. So I really do appreciate you including me today, Agata, and excited to hear what everyone has to say. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Instead of going in circle, we're going to go clockwise. Mr. Joe Luca from Rhode Island, welcome.
Yes, hello. Thank you for inviting me to participate in the panel today. My name is obviously Joe Luca. I'm a practitioner in the residential and commercial sides of the business. I'm licensed in Rhode Island and Massachusetts, but one of the great things about our industry is we can refer business not only to states that we are not licensed in, but globally. And Rhode Island is kind of a microcosm for the entire country, and that we have really rural areas, we have oceanfront, we have densely populated areas. And what's greatest for businesses and developers is we have a fantastic opportunity for businesses to locate here. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. I'm past chairman of Global Business Committee for the state of Rhode Island, and I've participated at MIPIM. So I'm well aware and I'm very enthusiastic about increasing the amount of referral businesses that our members can participate in on a global level.
Thank you so much. David from Nazareth, welcome.
Hi, my name is David Patricio. You gathered from my accent, I'm definitely not Portuguese. I'm an immigrant here. I'm actually South African. My wife and I, Beverly, we immigrated in 2000 with our family, looking for, if you know any South Africans, we always look for a place that's safer and with a much better quality of life, which is what we found here in this beautiful country. So we've been in Portugal for a while. When we did arrive here, Portugal was kind of an outlier as a country to go and live. The Brits had found it in the 60s, but they were considered kind of hippies that would come out to Portugal and live more in expat communities that wouldn't really integrate. So when in those days, in the early days, when I would say to people, when they'd say to me, where do you live? And I live in Portugal, they would be, why? Would be the comment. Fortunately, that's not the case anymore. People are like, oh my God, it's amazing, which it is. So Bev and I had some challenges that most people will have when you initially, especially in those years when you would you start to try and do business in Portugal or getting involved in real estate. The market wasn't really prepared for foreigners. It was something that Portuguese people understood intuitively, but for foreigners coming from different backgrounds, and especially people that I always say come from Anglo-Saxon backgrounds, it could be challenging. And through the experience that we had in acquiring property ourselves, we realized that there was an opportunity to solve a problem for many foreigners, that Portugal would be our niche. And using our own experience, we started a real estate company, which is Leisure Launch, and with a trading arm with Portugal Realty is the actual broker. We have since acquired another brand in the last couple of years called Imo Portugal. So we have these two really strong brands. One, Portugal Realty, that's in the French and English-speaking language countries, and Imo Portugal, which is in the Dutch language countries. So we cover clients we've done over 2,000 families. I was looking at my own bio the other day, so I'm just showing off a bit. What we did find was that the country was challenging in the sense that we didn't understand not only the language, but the culture and the manner in which things were done. So our objective was to simplify that process. And if you follow up any of our work that we have done, we initially started off as real estate agents or brokers. I'm happy to say now I'm also a realtor with CIPS as well. But we started off as real estate agents, and then we realized that there were other challenges. Construction companies weren't really prepared for the foreign market, so we started a construction company, and then development company, and then when it came to furnishing, they weren't really geared for the foreign market. They were really more geared for the domestic market. So we set up a furniture company which would furnish the clients' houses and homes for them, and then property management. Once people own their houses, who's going to look after their house, or who's going to rent out their house for them? And again, this was a very unregulated environment. People would tend to give traditionally people would give the keys to the neighbor, and the lady would come along in her pajamas and open up your house so that people could come into. So it was completely unprofessional environment. So we set up a proper company with Silver Coast Hospitality to set up to answer those challenges that our clients had. And with the tax benefits that Portugal started to offer, certainly 10, 12 years ago already, it then was the challenge at who's the tax accountant, who's the accountant that we can refer clients to, because none had experience in the foreign market. So we set up our own office, Portugal Accounting, which is also part of the group, and they specialize exclusively with foreign clients. So we have clients from all over the world. We have faced all sorts of challenges. So most of the questions that your listeners will have, we've probably encountered at some point in my last 20 odd years. Yes, that's what we do. Try and simplify. So we have the pleasure of also sponsoring the Portugal the Simple Life podcast, which is an education platform, because we love the country so much. I just want to share it with the world. It's actually not to sell real estate. It's just for people to understand what a beautiful, beautiful nation these Portuguese people are and how kind and generous they are. So I'm really happy to share it for free with anyone that's prepared to listen.
Thank you so much. And your stepson Dylan does a phenomenal job. And I watched a couple of them the other day, and I believe it's over 200 now. And he speaks with people throughout the world, both people that have moved into the country or have ties to Portugal. Thank you so much. We'll circle back in a little bit. Pedro Pereira, hello from Madrid. You're working in Madrid today, so you're 6 hours ahead. And you're going to speak about the finance piece of it, right? Because in the past, I've always thought when somebody buys globally, they go with a suitcase of money, or maybe it's cryptocurrency, whatever it is nowadays. But so if you can, we'll speak about that, but also if you can also share how you were instrumental in connecting NAR with the Portuguese Association.
Okay, so but let me clarify, Agda.
Yes.
I am born and raised in Portugal, but since a couple of months, I'm always traveling between Spain and Portugal as a marketing and brand manager for our company, which is UCI Mortgages. Okay, but UCI has been a partner of NAR for, I should say, like a decade or something. I was there signing the agreement with Elizabeth Mendenhall some years ago, and I've been adding very nice people to my list of friends and contacts. We met last October, Agda, in New York, and we also were very happy to meet Stephanie. So although the others, Nuno and David, we have been traveling together to a couple of NAR conferences in the recent years. Okay, so we are trying exactly to connect real estate in Portugal with the global NAR global associations around the world and agents around the world. We have been seen in the more recent years that Portugal is on the spotlight. It's always been there, but due to some reasons that I think David has addressed already, Portugal is on the top list for some international buyers. So we know that we are helping our agents in Portugal to become more familiar with international buyers, and you can trust on them because education, that is one of the strong keys of NAR, is present in Portugal, and the majority of them and all of them here on this webinar are NAR certified, are on CIPS. So they are members of the CIPS and they are used to the standards that all international buyers require. As far as myself, I've been on the mortgage issue for more than 25 years. Yeah, that's true. It seems like child work here in Portugal is legal, because probably you think I'm very young, but that's not true. But you can trust also on UCI because we have, like I said, 25 years or more, exactly 26 years of experience dealing mortgage, and more recently we are very used to handle international buyers mortgage. So you can understand during this webinar that yes, you can buy a property in Portugal and you can get your mortgage here. No need to refinance your property in the US. So let's keep it for later, but it's a pleasure to be here, and I thank Rhode Island Board of Realtors to invited us to be here. So thank you, Agda.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, Nuno, I've actually met you a number of times at NAR conferences, and you are probably newer to the business, but have a very interesting story. So if you would tell us a little bit about your work.
Yeah, hi Agda. Thank you so much for inviting me to this webinar. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here with you and with all the other panelists here. It's been a journey since 2012, starting working in real estate, and since that time, that I really felt that the vision that I need to have for the real estate in Portugal must be really global, because since that time, I starting to receive a lot of clients from all over the world. And I understand that will be much more easy to understand how things work outside Portugal, to understand when someone come to our country, what are the needs, what can I help. It must be very difficult to change and live abroad. So for me, it was very good to understand that and try to create all the facilities and all the benefits to when I receive the clients, and give them all the experience that they really need and felt comfortable in our country. Our country is really amazing, and of course I'm biased because I'm Portuguese saying this, but that's why everybody is really trying to understand and come to Portugal to visit and invest in Portugal, buy a second property, retire here in Portugal, because the country, we have everything, and the Portuguese that don't travel too much, they don't know how much Portugal is amazing. And and so during that time, since 2012, I'm trying also to have a lot of training. So I am a CIPS, I have an ABR, and I have my own team that can provide all the good services for the clients and all over the country, because our country is small. So you can go to the north to south in 2-3 hours by car. It's easy, and it was very nice and very good to help all the clients that I received since 2012. And I think it's not going to stop. It's going to increase even more this year. All the awards that the country win, the healthcare system that we have, the food, everything. But the principle for me, it's clearly the people. I think this make all the difference comparing to other countries, which are also very nice to visit. But to live and to stay and invest in Portugal, the people make all the difference. So I'm a people man, so I love people. I like to talk. I'm very enthusiastic, and I really love what I do. So
It shows. It shows. Well, thank you so much. Actually, Rhode Island and Portugal have quite a bit in common in the sense that we too are small. We have 400 miles of coastline, and yet we're much, much smaller. And the population, we have the highest density of Portuguese immigrants. You know, it's like, I think it's 83,000 or something like that. So it's not the largest population, but it is the highest, and it's almost 8% of our population is of Portuguese, the Portuguese natives. And sometimes in a small place, we forget, you know, that we have such beauty and so much to offer, right? We sort of look inward as opposed to looking outward. So I would like to direct the first question to Stephanie as the NAR point person, for people to understand that when we refer folks, obviously we want to do this responsibly, right? I mean, it's not just like picking names out of a hat, because I think it's a reflection of us when we entrust clients to somebody else in some part of the world. And I know that NAR has a tremendous amount of tools, and one of which I found was the international referral form, which is meant simply as a sample, right? But Stephanie, if you could just speak on anything that you think is relevant for or useful for our attendees.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just putting a couple links here in the chat for everyone, just some resources. So we have lots of resources available. We're constantly working to build the resources. And really the point of NAR Global is to connect professionals around the world, raise the level of professionalism around this industry. And so it's extremely important when you are sending referrals or you're working with someone outside of the country to work with a realtor member. And so I love that we have these partnerships around the world, because in countries like Portugal or in some of the South American countries where there's not as much regulation and maybe there's not licensing, When you're sending a referral out to someone and you know that there's a realtor member on the other side who follows the same guidelines, is held to the same code of ethics, really has that same level of professionalism, it's an asset to you because you know that you're sending that referral or you're receiving that referral from someone who has the same ethics as you. It's amazing for your client. You're doing them, you're doing a great service to them because you're connecting them with someone who is going to take care of them and communicate. And also, as far as closing the transaction and the communication, we help you with the tools for that. There is, I did put a link in there to the referral form, which is an example, but best practice always, I highly encourage you, if you're going to be sending referrals or if you're starting to work internationally, make sure you check with your managing broker, see what their policies are. If there's a network agreement, not only does it help you stay within the guidelines of your network and your broker's agreement, but it also helps with payment because sometimes there's different ways that the payments need to go through. My background from relocation and global mobility is, sending those referrals and watching those payments be tracked and watching the updates. So it's amazing the tools that the brokers have to manage that and assist. And so, between the tools that NAR has, the tools that your broker has, and working with all of our international realtor members, it makes for successful transactions and, we can truly be global.
Exactly. Thank you so much. And as far as financing, I suspect that both in Portugal and Rhode Island and most places, we need to begin with the financial piece, right? That these clients that we are referring or that we're accepting, that we know that they have the funding or so Pedro, are you able to, so if either Nuno or David send a client your way or Joe sends a client your way, what can that process look like? How long does it take? And of course, each case is different, right? But if you could just help us understand a little bit the pre-approval process in Portugal. You're on mute.
Sorry, I mute myself not to not disturb the others, and I forgot. Sorry. The process here is quite different from the one in the US. You don't have like the credit report or the credit score, I guess, is different. But let me explain. So every American citizen, international citizen, Canadian one or Asian one can apply for a mortgage in Portugal. We don't have the restriction to finance only national citizens. So the only requirement that they have is buying the property here in Portugal. So they can finance. Nuno or David can sell them the property and you can finance the buying with us. What is the average time that this process can take? Some years ago, you could go to the deed within 1 month. Nowadays, due to a reflection period that is mandatory due to the Bank of Portugal, we think probably it will take 1 month and a half, the average, to close the deal. Okay. You don't need to refinance, as I said. Refinance your property in the US. You can apply directly your mortgage in Portugal. For that, you as far as UCI mortgage is concerned, you have like the maximum of 30 years for the term of your deed, and you can have 3 types of interest rates to choose from. Starting on the variable one that usually in Portugal is the most common one. So Portuguese people like to play and take their lucky. Sometimes they
yes.
yeah, they want to risk. We are used to risk. So what means a variable rate here? You choose like the most usual is Euribor 6 months. It means that your interest rate is reviewed every 6 months. It can go up and it can come down. In the last 1 year and 1 year and a half, it was always going up, as you could imagine. In the last 2 months, is coming down. The second one is like a fixed interest rate. So as far as UCI, we have like 5 and 10 years fixed rates. There are other players on the market that can go up to 20 or 30 years on the term, and we can offer also our customers a midterm one. So you can have like a 5 years fixed rate, and then you can choose the rest of your term on a variable one. Why is that so? Because looking at the averages of the interest rates, you can see that they are not going up for many years. So they have like a period of 1 year or 1 year and a half that can go up, but then they will come down and they will get stable. So you can take the best part of those periods. You can get your safety during that period, and then you can risk. In Portugal, you can also refinance. You can choose after anytime you want, you can transfer your mortgage to a different bank. So
one of the things when we spoke before that I was pleasantly surprised is that a foreigner can put 30% down, correct? And then finance 70% of the mortgage, which I thought was great. Yeah. So
in fact, if you want to buy and move to Portugal and have your main residence here, you can have like between 30 and 40% as a down payment, and we finance the rest. So
many of us on this call are thinking of getting a second home in Portugal, I'm sure. That's
but
helpful.
Even though the average is the same, like 40% is if you want to invest in the country and buy a property as part of an investment, you have to have like 40% as a down payment. Otherwise, 30% is correct.
Okay, well, great, thank you. In Rhode Island, Joe, I know that you're not a mortgage broker. However, I mean, you always ensure that your clients are ready, right? I mean, what's available, and you have partners, correct?
Right, exactly. Typically, I mean, part of being a good realtor is to pre-qualify your buyer, and one of the first things is to make sure they have the financial capacity to make the purchase that they want to. And a lot of that comes from educating them, whether it's an American who's a first-time home buyer, or whether it's someone from another country who's coming here and applying for a mortgage for the first time. They may not be aware of what's involved. They may not be aware of the credit requirements that we have. And, I have actually a number of different lender partners that I work with for that reason. Sometimes we need to kind of fit the buyer to the lender based on the programs that they need. Clearly, the larger down payment that a buyer has, the stronger they're going to be, and the easier it will be for them to get a mortgage for their property. But that is one of the first things that we will do, is trying to get them educated, pre-qualified, so they're ready to go and they know what they're going to be encountering. So that way, from my perspective too, as a realtor, it helps me manage their expectations for what they will ultimately be able to purchase.
Exactly. So Nuno, you entered the industry just as Portugal introduced the golden visa. So I think perfect timing. Yeah. However, we do understand that they did sunset that, and now I don't know, if it will be replaced or there are always different ways of entering a country. Do you any insight as far as that's concerned, or has it impacted your business yet, or do you not? No.
Indeed, in the beginning in 2012, it's the period that I start this business, and when the government create the golden visa program for the resident permanent. But the thing is that we have a lot of foreigners that invest in Portugal since the 16, 17. So, and the percentage of the people that invest in real estate for the golden visa, comparing to the foreigner investors, don't have anything. The percentage is very, very low. The people invest in Portugal because a lot of other things. All the global, the country, everything, the weather, the condition, the safety. This is not, of course, they need to study the possibility. If it's possible to have a resident permit, is good. And of course, we need to benefit about that, and opened a lot of people that when I go to the property shows outside Portugal since that time, of course, the thing is that first time that I did a property show in Dubai, just for example, people don't even know where is Portugal. Now it's totally different. Then when I go there, people are going directly to us to try to come to Portugal to invest in Portugal. So I don't think this will, I think it's something from the government. Let's see, now it's changing, but we are going to have probably in March another government. So let's try to understand and think that something will change on that.
Yeah.
But they don't make any kind of impact in the people outside, because people like Portugal the way it is, not only because what they can give about the resident permit.
One of the things that I found interesting, you mentioned that people can also buy shares, if I'm not mistaken, instead of actually purchasing a property. If you could explain that a little bit, right? Is it a
Yes, now what's
percentage?
happening, the possibilities now it's to invest in funds. It's always a risk because it's a fund. It's like we invest in an auction, so it's something like that, and that's a possibility. I always try to find other ways to promote Portugal in the resident, because we have other programs. So we have the digital nomads, we have the D7, we have the D2. So we have other possibilities. Depend of the what are the needs of the clients. Because the great benefit of the golden visa is just they just need to stay in Portugal for 7 days per year, which is good. People don't want to live in Portugal and to invest, and that's the possibilities to keep that is to invest now in some funds. But we need to have to recommend real funds and something that can be guaranteed for our lawyers, and that could be something that we need to prepare to inform the client that could be a good investment. We need to do case by case, but
Exactly.
it's still possible, and it's not what I felt is the interest of Portugal don't slow down. Of course, when the news are bad, everybody make a lot of noise, but the thing starting to, when I go outside, I felt Portugal still in very, very good mood.
Yeah, exactly. So David, in the Silver Coast, what types, I mean, because it seems, you really encourage the simple life, and I love this idea. Do you find that most of your clients or who are foreign, are they retiring? Is it a second home market, rental? Tell us a little bit about that, please.
We have always had a mix, but I just wanted to get the golden visa out of the way.
Okay.
Americans, the golden visa does not apply. Golden visa does not apply for Americans. There are much better programs that you don't need to make these huge investments. So I always say this to American clients when I meet them around the world. This doesn't apply to you. It makes good press, but it doesn't apply to you. There are much better visa programs that are very low cost, a couple of $100, that will solve your visa scenario. So just to put the golden visa to rest first, but in regards, our market in Portugal is traditionally, when I first arrived in the early 2000s, it was more traditionally for people who were looking as a retirement plan. We used to meet them in their 50s or 55, getting ready for, sorry, excuse me, my battery's going down. 55, 60, initially starting off as a second home with the intention of becoming a permanent resident. What we have seen in the last 10 years, the attraction for Portugal, and COVID really highlighted that as well, just the quality of life. So what we now have is a much younger profile of families coming to Portugal pre-retirement age, and still with young children that need to still go into the school system in Portugal, a much, much, much better mix. For the same reasons, people are just looking for a better quality of life. Portuguese have done superbly well in sharing the approach to life and the balance in which they have to life. I always say to people, regardless, I mean, I traveled at a time when people say, when you said I'm from Portugal, they would say, where is that? I would have to say Cristiano Ronaldo. And then they'd be, oh, okay, I know where that is. And people would say to me, what are the Portuguese people like? And I would say, do you know a Portuguese person? And they would say, without knowing where they came from, yes, I do. I say, well, those are the Portuguese people. They've found and managed to hold on to this beautiful culture of theirs and the way of life, and they've just transmitted it to the rest of the planet. And that's the lifestyle that people are now noticed in with the benefit of the internet, with Zoom and all these sort of things, with podcasts. These people are now realizing, or have certainly in the last 10 years, realized that, listen, there's got to be a better way to live. There's got to be a better way to live your life. Mine is superb. I'm actually sitting here with a bottle of Berlin, which I'm going to enjoy as soon as this podcast is over. But this is the kind of balance that Portuguese people need to have in their lives every day. And it wasn't by accident that Nuno said food is one of their primary things. One of the things that Portuguese people will never argue about is food. They all love it. So yes, so that's what we found. It's just that mix has changed. Initially, it was people who were of retirement age, and today it's not the case. It's a spread across board. Also because people have much more flexibility in their ability to work remotely, and access, especially for the market that we're talking about for the American clients. Access to Portugal is very easy, and it always has been. Even in the time of the dictatorship, it was very easy for the Americans to get into Portugal. Very welcome.
So what time of year is the best time of year for somebody to sort of start to discover the country? And I guess it depends where in the country as well, but is there sort of a range?
We found, Nuno will bear me out here, we found that our high season for real estate is not the summer months. It's actually between September and about May. Our summer months tend to be June, July, August tend to be our summer months. And the logic there is, I always say to people, travel to a country in its worst weather. Because the question that you're going to ask a client, or client going to ask the broker in the middle of summer, what is the weather like in winter? Well, why don't you just come and visit in winter and know it for yourself? So we find that people tend to seriously, when they want to seriously make the investment, they tend to come in the off season as opposed to in the season. In the season, we tend to attract far more holiday makers or people on vacation.
Yeah, I totally agree with David. It's really like that. And seeing that Portugal has more than 300 days per year that is sunny, which is nice, which is very good to say. Even we have some clients that stay here for 6 months in the winter and return to his own country for the summer. So for him, our winter will be a summer really a little bit more fresh. So totally agree with you.
Very good. And Joe, you know, our Portuguese counterparts were speaking about good food. In Rhode Island, we have a premier university, right? A culinary university, and we have great restaurants. Is this something? Tell us more about this and other highlights.
Sure. One of the things that's attractive for a lot of the residential buyers is the amount of culture that's kind of packed into such a small geographical area. We are home to Johnson & Wales University, which is a culinary institution. So we have a lot of really top flight restaurants that have been recognized in a lot of the publications. And we have more top tier restaurants that are per capita than pretty much any other state. Because again, it's a small area. So whatever you're looking for, if you're looking for Portuguese food, if you're looking for Italian, French, whatever you're looking for, even some of the less popular, the less well-known types of culinary fare, we have a restaurant for that. And we also have a lot of great bakeries that specialize in Italian goods, Portuguese, French. So there's a lot here that people can come here, live here, and still have a taste of home when they're looking for it. So, and we also have great, arts and music and performing arts. So we have really culturally a lot to offer for those folks who like that.
Yes, hospitality is very strong in our area. So toward the end, I was going to mention about that the next NAR conference will be in Boston this year. It'll be November 8th and 10th, and I didn't want to miss that opportunity because it's only an hour away from Rhode Island. So maybe it's some folks that are on the call that are attending, they can visit Rhode Island. It is not peak season. You'll just have missed the foliage, but it is a nice time to discover. And also, we encourage folks from Rhode Island who maybe haven't attended the NAR conference in the past and trade show to take the train up and go to the global booth and meet folks from all over the world, and in particular, our friends here from Portugal. Stephanie, you've been very, very busy with planning all of the committees and anything exciting that you know of, or anything we wish to highlight for the next conference?
Really just like you mentioned, the global pavilion, being able to connect with our international realtor members. In Anaheim this past fall, we had over 800 international realtor members come in, and these are realtors from around the world, not US based. They're coming from Portugal and the Philippines and Colombia and just all over the world. So it's a really great opportunity. If you have the chance, come. There's a huge global pavilion. We have the Global Business Council Forum. We have different events, and it's just a wonderful time to connect with realtors all over the world, learn some new tools, make some new friends. I know I have met some of the most amazing people at the conference. So yeah, and other than that, really just Global's getting out. We're going to be at a lot more of the different regional shows. I was just at Triple Play in Atlantic City this past December. And so I really want to get out there and connect with our members and really educate our members who don't know about Global. Let them know what it is, because I feel like a lot of our members don't know what Global is, or that we even have Global, or how they have these opportunities to grow their business.
Right, exactly. And Joe, I'm playing hopscotch over here, but what are the business opportunities in Rhode Island that you can share?
Yeah, I mean, I like to talk about these because these are things that most Rhode Islanders, people that have, they lived in Rhode Island their entire lives, they're not aware of. But we have a great transportation network, and that's something that's significant, because if you are a distributor or a manufacturer looking for a place to locate your business, you can locate here in Rhode Island at a portion of what it would cost to be in Connecticut, New York, or Massachusetts. And you have access to transport your goods by marine transportation, rail transportation, air transportation, or surface transportation. We have a phenomenal highway network so that trucks can get out and put your goods on on the highways and get it delivered. If we're receiving things in, Rhode Island is one of the top 10 ports for receiving cars in this country, imported cars. And we've had, I believe it's over 5 million vehicles that have come in through our port. At Quonset Business Park, that's over 3,000 acres of land that was dedicated to helping businesses. In Davisville, the Davisville portion, we have the port. There's no harbor maintenance fees. Vessels can dock as soon as they arrive. It has a foreign trade zone designation. There's 150 metric ton harbor crane. So there are a lot of things that we have here that make it very attractive for businesses to locate here as their first stop in the United States, especially if they're coming over from either Africa or from Europe, because you just come across and you can bring everything in right. If it's commercial at Quonset Airport, or again, if it's ships coming in, we can handle that as well. So it really is a fantastic opportunity for businesses to locate here, and our housing costs are less than our neighboring states, and the business operational costs are also lower than the neighboring states, and you have access to a tremendous amount of employees in the area. So I'd just like to get that out there because we have a lot of realtors on the call, many of whom may not be aware of that. And this is something that if you, some circuitous way, know someone who may be looking to have a location for their cousin's business, this could be an opportunity for someone to generate a nice referral.
Exactly, and they actually, the lots are permitted, so they've streamlined the process, which is amazing. Is the business in Portugal, is that something that do you both, Nuno and David, do you represent commercial clients as well, or predominantly residential side? What are the business opportunities in Portugal?
Yeah, well, I'll start. I'm predominantly in the residential sector, but as a foreign businessman in Portugal, I can speak to that in terms of my experience in dealing with Portugal comparatively to the economies that I have worked before. But so I can speak to that. In terms of my client is essentially somebody that's looking for a home in Portugal, more residential based. Nuno might have more experience from a client perspective, from the commercial.
Yeah, it's different. So I have all type of clients and I have all type of listings. I don't know if you're listening me. Are you listening? No.
We're listening to the real Nuno, the twin. Hello, just popped on, but go ahead. You're fine.
It's weird because something happened here. I said that I'm logged in to this conversation, but I never log out. So if you listen to me, it's okay.
Yes.
So the thing is that I have a lot of requests for all type of clients, people who want buildings and of offices, they want lands to build his own property. So I'm prepared with my team to reply to all kind of requests. So I have buyer agents, I have listing agents, and like I said in the beginning, I have Portugal is a small country, and I work with the residential and commercial, and of course lands also, because people starting to look at Portugal and see they can make their own process. It's possible to build his own property here. So I need to get the reply for all the requests that the clients want. And because I work with my team, it's easier to define what are the best options for the client working with this agent and that agent. It's easier, but totally different than David. But the thing here is that we can support and understand what could be the best for the client and give the right direction for the client to help him. Even myself, if I don't have any kind of possibilities to help the client, I am more than glad to refer to someone that I trust. And not only in Portugal, which is good. It would be amazing to understand if the people want income. So I have these meetings in the NAR give me the possibilities to open even more my mind and understand that could be if the client want to invest, and only imagine a simple investor, they just want to get some income about the investment instead of have the money in the bank. If they want to invest and I have other possibilities all over the world, if you trust me, I can recommend to someone that I can trust and be the best possibility for the client. So not only in Portugal, for me, this is very, very important. And
Pedro, do you offer commercial loans or strictly residential?
I'm afraid no, we are mainly residential.
But you
mainly
could refer...
no, 100% resident.
Very, very good. But your partners, your attorneys, your accountants, they all speak English, I assume, right? Because you're targeting the foreign, okay.
We have all the information required in English and also in French. We can handle mortgage simulation in English as well, and our oral representatives do speak English as well.
Exactly.
So it's easy.
Excellent. And David, you have like a suite of businesses, and you offer everything is available in English and Dutch and also French, correct?
Yeah, one of the requirements to work in our company is you have to be fluent in English. But I mean, culturally, Portugal has introduced English in the early 2000s as the second language. So you will find it's quite rare to find anyone under the age of, probably certainly under my generation, I'm at the cap there, who don't speak English fluently. Everybody speaks English fluently. The language that we communicate is all in English. And this applies not only to us. We're a company that specifically 100% of our client base is foreigners. So we don't deal with Portuguese nationals, which Pedro and Nuno will have more experience in that regard. But all of our communication, all of our contracts are in English. And in the case of, obviously, when we're dealing with French people, French is the other language, which is, just for those who don't know, it's the other official language for Europe. So English being the primary one in Europe, and then secondly French. But all of our communication is in English. I just wanted to make a point about the investment in NAR, and I know that I'm going back, regressing a bit. I just wanted to say this to all of our colleagues in the US. You will only appreciate the tools you have when you don't have them. I invest and I make it that I know that Nuno shares this with me. I travel all over the world every single year, at least 10 times a year, so that I can be in environments like these. And for me, NAR in the US is the place to begin. And if you have it in your back door, close to your home, that is what you should be doing. It's the best money you will ever invest. The rest is up to you. Once you get in front of people, you'll be surprised at the opportunities that open themselves up to you. So for me, if I go to an exhibition, or I go to an NAR, or I go to an overseas property exhibition, and I don't come away with business, but I come away with contacts and a network that will help me in the future, that for me is money well invested. And then also from our perspective as a developer, as a property developer, most brokers, most agents will focus on listing properties. But let me just tell you, when I'm sitting on this side of the table as a developer, I want to know, I have invested millions in the development that you are trying to sell. I want to know how much you've invested. And if you're not prepared to make the investment of getting a train ticket or a plane ticket to go and learn more about your business, should I be taking a risk with you? So just always keep this in mind. The benefit of this is amazing, amazing. So yes, I will be in Boston and I will be in Rhode Island.
Excellent. We'll organize something fun, and hopefully the weather will cooperate. But so beautifully put. Really, it's about always honing our craft, right? And sometimes it's really not about business. It's rapport, it's relationships, and I always feel what goes around. I mean, I know it's provincial, but what goes around comes around in life, and this is invaluable, truly. We have a few more minutes. I'm going to allow each of you a minute to say something that they have been inching to communicate but haven't had the opportunity. Nuno, starting with you, 30 minutes. I mean, not 30 minutes, ooh la la. 1 minute, 1 minute.
If you give me 30 minutes, I can speak 30 minutes.
I know.
No, but I think it's obvious. I want to invite everybody, clients, real estate agents, brokers, owners, everybody to visit Portugal. We are more than glad to receive you here. This is really a pleasure to even the panelists, Joe, Stephanie, also to come here. I don't know if Stephanie came here frequently or once. I don't know.
No, I'm working on it though. Planning.
You need to, Stephanie. You really appreciate that. And everybody, I don't know anyone that came to Portugal and said, it's nice. No, all the people that we talk, they really felt that, wow, this country is really amazing. And I don't listen someone talk bad about Portugal. And for us, being Portuguese, I'm very proud to be in Portugal. I love to work in real estate. I love to be global, to give the best training to all the people that I can guarantee that that's going to provide a good service for the clients, because of course the clients is always the best. If the clients, if I felt that the business is not good for the clients, I'm going, of course, everybody work in real estate to earn money, but it's not worth everything. And that's the thing that I know that I can give the possibilities that the people can trust me, the people that work with me, that can provide the good service to have the best business for the clients. And for me, it's important. If I felt that I'm going to a country, for example, like to go to Rhode Island to invest in a property, to starting to live in Rhode Island, I need someone that can help me on everything. And if everything it went okay, I can trust, I can start to get more reference and to promote even the country outside. So this is the way I stay in the business. And when I start in 2012, the system.
No, I have to cut you off. You've
Okay.
exceeded your 2
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah,
Poor
okay. You
Joe
tell me
only has
30
5
minutes, I'm
seconds.
starting. Okay,
And
thank you.
there's. We're going to go down to Joe. Joe, parting words.
Yes, thank you so much again for everyone, for all the panelists, and for everyone who tuned into the podcast. You know, one of the things I just want to point out, there's actually a post on Facebook by one of our colleagues today talking about how Rhode Island ranked last for business attractiveness. That's like immaterial to what we're talking about on a global level, because we can look at specific markets in this country, never mind around the world, where they have a lot of challenges, but that does not get in the way of them referring business in or out. And that does not necessarily mean there are not opportunities there for us. So we need to, keep our self-esteem high. Don't get taken down. There are lots of opportunities and good reasons for people to locate a business in Rhode Island. And we just need to, be our own cheerleaders.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you, Joe. Stephanie?
Yeah, really just even what Nuno said, just the relationship building. Real estate is so built on networking and building relationships, and global is just a special part of that. It's this beautiful, like I get goosebumps every time I start talking about it. I love it so much, and I love the people that I'm meeting, and just looking forward to meeting more and more. So please, if there's anything I can do to help with resources that NAR has available to connect you with our global partners, to answer questions about, sending referrals, or how do you find someone, or how do you get your CIPS, or anything at all having to do with real estate or global, or anything at all. I'm going to put my information in the chat here.
Yes,
I know that there's
it's in that link. It's in that link that we shared earlier. Yeah, so wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Pedro, rapidamente.
Okay, just to say, I've put a link of UCI mortgage on the chat, just for you to check if you want to, and be sure that a mortgage can be very similar from one bank to the other, but I think UCI can provide you an excellent service and a companion during that time. So be safe, and I will be happy with us. And as you said, it was a pleasure being here. I always like to connect with people. I had the chance to work with a very nice lady in the US that I know you are aware, Agda, and so we always have that bound to be able to connect people, and that it has been a pleasure to be here with you also, Agda.
Thank you.
Anytime you need, we'll be around for you.
We look forward to seeing you in Boston. And Naveed, please, parting words, and do promote your podcast, because Dylan does an amazing job, and it's so please.
Yeah, I was going to say, for our colleagues, we all have ups and downs in our markets. The reality is this, let me say this to you. There are Americans arriving in Portugal, buying real estate in Portugal every day, directly. They are missing our colleagues along the way because our colleagues are not talking to their clients about Portugal. There are so many resources for them. If you want to get some background on Portugal, we spoke about Portugal, the Simple Life podcast. There are many other, because it's become so fashionable in the last 10 years, there's a lot of other information out there that people can educate themselves. But it makes me sad that we are allowing, as brokers, and I'm talking about as an agent, as a realtor, would make me very sad if I knew that my clients were going directly to Portugal to buy real estate and I let that opportunity fly right past me. Do your homework, get out there, switch on your computer, you've got your computer there, do some research yourself, and the next time you go out and speak to somebody, say, have you ever thought of Portugal? Just all you need to just do is say that and let the conversation take the route that it does. If they say it enough times, they're going to say, you know what, we've actually been thinking about it. And you could say, well, I have the solution. You don't need to go to Google and find it. I will give it to you.
No.
Please come and visit.
Wonderful.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful country.
Well, thank you all for sharing information, and thank you everyone for attending. We hope that the discussion is a nice introduction that encourages you to responsibly refer business beyond and within our borders. And thank you for the privilege of your time, and we look forward to seeing folks in the field. We'll see you, some of you in Boston and some of you beforehand. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.